I'm Jason Deere.
I'm Sammy G.
And we are Dice and Dragons. Please take a look at the video description below. There you will see our timestamps as well as some information as to what the video is about. So, stay tuned, it's coming up. Enjoy the show. What up, gamers? Today we're coming at you from Sammy G's apartment.
Well, it's a basement apartment, so you could call it a bachelor pad. You could call it a dungeon because of the basement, I guess. But we'll leave it up to you, the viewers, to decide.
Well, if it's a bachelor's dungeon, I really hope he has some interesting creatures that keep him entertained at all hours of the day.
Just the mice and the rats. But that being said, no, I'm just joking. But that being said, we are going to go and into our coverage of Legacy of Dragonholt by Fantasy Flight Games. It's their first foray using the Oracle system, which is kind of like an RPG light. It's meant to be played without a game master, without a dungeon master. And it is designed by Nikki Valens, and we have to say the artwork is very, very nice on the box and on some of the content.
Yeah, so just to tell you a little bit more about the game and the setting. So Legacy of Dragonholt is set in the world of Terranoth, the same world as Runebound, Descent, Rune Wars, the Rune Wars miniatures game. So this is a Runebound game. So if you are familiar with that world and you like a lot of the characters, the classes, well, this is your chance to create your own character in that world. And like Sammy G said, you do not need a GM or a DM for this game. The books that are in the box are going to help you tell the story. All you have to do is create a character and go on the adventure. Now this game is for 1 to 6 players, and this is going to be the first in a series of videos where we cover Legacy of Dragonholt. For the first video, what we're going to do today is just take a look at the components and the character creation process. Our subsequent videos, we're going to tell you a little bit more about the gameplay as well as our overall thoughts of the game. For today, we really just want to show you how you get started in this game.
How to create those characters. And in full disclaimer, I've actually never created a character. I've never done the D&D, no GURPS, nothing like that. So it was quite an interesting experience for me. Yeah. So that being said, let's grab our drinks, let's grab our buddies, and let's take it to the table. Let's create some characters. Let's go to Terranoth.
Yeah, let's go to Terranoth. I feel like being an elf. Maybe elf, orc. I look more like an orc today, don't I?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
We're going to take a look at what comes inside the box of Legacy of Dragonholt by Fantasy Flight. And before we go into this, I have to say for a Fantasy Flight game, I always get very excited to see what's inside the box. You're expecting some, nice miniatures, some dice, a lot of components to a Fantasy Flight game. This one has a pretty, I'd say, mid-range price point. So you're expecting a lot of content, and when you open up the box, you get not a whole lot, as you see in front of me. That's pretty much everything that comes in the box itself. You get a few of these little tokens, which, okay, I understand it's for the players, and I understand that. You get, not many of these cards. There's only about, let's say, 20 of them. And I know that they're the items that you pick up on your adventure. You get this paper map of the village of Dragonholt, not even, a surrounding area. You just get, well, this, which I feel it's a missed opportunity for a Fantasy Flight game where maybe you're expecting a board, even the other side, nothing. It's just a paper map of one area of the game. You have a journal, you have a letter, you have some of these sheets that we'll get into after, and that's it. And then I realized, oh, you know what, this is a role-playing game. And I realize now that, the content, what I was really looking for is actually in these books themselves, and they give you quite a lot of these books, a lot of these missions. There's some nice weight to this, and it's quite interesting to see Fantasy Flight go in this direction. It's a little bit different than other games that I was accustomed to. So of course you start off with the rule book, and if you've never played the game, you do read it first because it does explain how the story works, how it goes. You have this character creation guide, which we're going to go into depth soon after. And then you have the content itself, where it has a lot of story guides, a lot of story points. And really in that regard, it's quite wonderful in terms of the content. The artwork is beautiful. The books themselves are of high quality, nice glossy finish. What else comes into the box are these sheets. So this one that I'm holding up right now is the story tracking sheet. So it keeps track of your adventures down here. So every time you have a certain conversation, you inquire about something in the game, you're gonna cross off one of these points, and it's very important to keep track of that because in the game they're going to reference certain points, and if they're marked off then something happens, if not something else happens. So quite interesting there. For each individual, like to the new roads, you have your own individual sheet. So here you can keep track of the items that you've done within the game, and you have your time tracking sheet on top as well. So each individual mission has this. And then in Dragonholt, as you saw, it was a much thicker book. So here you're going to go multiple times back into the village after your quests. So that's why it's a little bit more in-depth, a little bit more involved. The last thing you have here is the character sheet. So when you want to do your character creation, which we're going to focus on next, you see it's just really a blank sheet that they give you your skills, your experience, your items, and a couple of your physical descriptions, your background, your personality, your traits. We're going to get into that after, but aside from that, they don't even give you that many pieces of paper. You have to go find them online, you have to print them. On the back you might have to photocopy some of the items. So we always recommend definitely go to Fantasy Flight website, print out as many copies as you desire. And while you're on the Fantasy Flight, you could go look at the other DLC that they've done, which is this kind of cute little achievement guide to kind of give those PC gamers like myself, the console gamers, your little achievement to try to hunt for your own trophies. It adds a little bit, it's a little bit gimmicky, but it's kind of fun. The other thing that they give you are preset characters. So if you don't really know how to go through the character creation, you're not comfortable doing it for any reason, you can pick any number of characters. There's about, I don't know, half a dozen here that you can pick from. So you can kind of take a look at their skills, their abilities, their background, and say, hey, this is a fun character, I want to play. So you don't have to put any time involvement into creating the character itself. So you could always have this as an option. So as I said, that's pretty much it in terms of the content. I show you the journal, but I don't want to spoil anything for myself. And because it is a story-driven game, I don't want to have any spoilers for myself. So that being said, we're going to go right into the character creation guide and how to create your own characters.
So, as Sammy G said, we're just taking a closer look at the sheets that come with Legacy of Dragonholt. So the first thing we're looking at is the story tracking sheet. Now you've got a space to keep track of the heroes you've created or the pre-generated heroes that are going on this adventure, place to keep track of your fame, your gold, the story points, which is probably the most important part of the sheet. As you can see, they are alphabetical and numerical. So if the book tells you to mark off like A1, you're going to cross out A1, and then that might be referenced later on in the story. You also have a section for notes here where you can mark any notes about anything that you would like to keep track of, because remember, Dragonholt is a mystery as well, and this might help you in solving the mystery and making better decisions as you go through the different adventures in Dragonholt Village. Now, the second type of sheet that you get is the adventure tracking sheets. So as you can see, this one is for the first adventure to new roads. This is where you keep track as to how much time has passed during your adventure, and depending on the amount of time that has passed, different things will happen in the story. And then you can also keep track of the entries that you read. If you want to, for example, take a break from the story, this is a great way to just mark the point that you're going to pick it back up when you take the game out of the box next time. And then, as Sammy G said, the most complicated sheet that you have here is the Dragonholt Village tracking sheet. As you can see, there's a timeline aspect to it here where different things happen during your different days, during day 1, day 2, day 3. You also have progress towards different goals that you may have when you're in Dragonholt Village, such as your heroism, your combat training, social practices, academic study. Well, we weren't the greatest at that, but we're still somehow doing all right in the world. And then finally, you have the character sheet. So right after we review the sheet, we'll go into in more depth the character creation process. You have this area for your name and your race and your class, your age. You can give an actual number if you like, or just say in general, like, are you young adult? Are you middle-aged? Also your gender. You have a place to keep track of your skills here, which skills are disabled. We'll talk more about disabled skills later on when we go through a more gameplay video and gameplay review. And here's the information for really the meat of the character creation, your background, your personality and ideals, and your physical description. This is the part that most hardcore role players are going to be salivating over because, as everyone knows, when you're playing a role-playing game, a lot of the fun is really the character. And here you've got a section for your stamina to keep track of what your current health is, and then your maximum stamina. And then, as always, a nice little item tracking section where you can keep track of all the rewards that you gained going on your quests and adventures in and around Dragonholt Village. So we're just going to cut right here and we'll explain in more details the character creation process. So we're going to take a look at the character creation process in Legacy of Dragonholt. Now the first thing I want you to do is to read the first 2 pages of the rulebook, then set it aside. You really don't need the rulebook for character creation. Now, there is a step-by-step process that Fantasy Flight does set up for you to create a character, and you don't need to follow it, but we're going to go through it anyway because I think it's really important for first-time role players, and that process is designed to help them out. So the first part is really picking your race. So you can be a human if you'd like, otherwise you can pick an orc, a dwarf. You can have elves. Everyone loves elves. Who doesn't love Legolas? I think the best character in Lord of the Rings. You can also pick a gnome. And you also have the cat folk, for those of you that love furry creatures, especially kittens. Now the next step is really choosing your class according to the character creation guide. So you've got different classes such as the bard, you have the brawler, the knight, the sage, and we don't really want to go over it into too much detail because you're going to learn a lot by going through this guide yourself. Now the one important thing I really want to highlight is that when you're picking your race and your class, there is definitely some synergies between the race and the class. And to have a really good gameplay experience, we found that you really need to make sure that you get something that works well together. If you're doing something that's a little bit too slapdash, you might have some problems, or at least not enjoy your narrative experience and story experience as much as you would otherwise. Now, in the character creation guide, it says that step 3 is when you want to describe yourself. Go through your physical description. You can let your physical description inform on your background, and then your background can sort of define your personalities and your ideas. So that's the way the process is sort of set up in the book. But the one thing I do want to tell you is you don't need to follow the book because this is a role-playing game. And after going through the character creation process myself with Sammy G and my fiance, I found that each person might find doing a different step first to be a lot more informative. If you really want to just set up your personality and let your personality inform on your character's background, then let that decide what kind of class is going to be, and then let your class decide your race. Go for it. I think that one of the biggest difficulties we found with the character creation process was sort of following it step by step, because all of a sudden you're going through a mechanical process, whereas it should be organic. It should be come from within you, be about the kind of character you want to play and the kind of story experience you want to have when you're going into the village of Dragonholt. And just for the sake of giving you a very solid example of what a final character looks like, we're just going to showcase one of the pre-made characters. So in a pre-made character, as you can see right here, you're going to have your name at the top, you know, sort of like their faction, their affiliation, their race. So this is a human, it's a bard, young adult, and then you can even be a trans female or a trans male if you want. There is no limits to what you can be in Legacy of Dragonholt. Now you're going to see a detailed setup of the skills that you have, and we'll go more into what skills do and even what disabled skills are once again when we cover it in gameplay. And then as you can see, you've got like your background, your personality and ideas, and then your physical description, which is there to help inform you as to how you're going to act when you're playing the game. Just to give you a quick preview as to one of the things that happen in our gameplay, I'm going to just show you quickly my own character, who I call Darius Trelane, who is a human knight and is also a guard captain, or was a guard captain. That's sort of the background I picked for him. Was one of the decisions I decided that I would be one of the ones to stand watch, because being a former guard captain, I felt that that's what he would do. So that's how you really let your personality, your background, and inform on the decisions that you have during gameplay. And that really covers in brief sort of the character creation process. And remember, you're making your own character, so just let it come from within. Don't worry about the step-by-step process in the book. Just pick out whatever works best for you as a starting point and work from there. And remember, have fun. It shouldn't be challenging. It shouldn't be difficult. Just really go and make whatever kind of crazy character you want. If you want to be Gandalf, be Gandalf. If you want to be a cute little cat person that everyone thinks is adorable, you can do that. You can even be good at dueling like Puss in Boots and even sound like Antonio Banderas in your head. The world is open to you. And with that, we're going to cut to just our thoughts and our review on the character creation process in Legacy of Dragonholt. So, Legacy of Dragonholt, character creation.
Yeah.
What did you think?
So remember in the beginning of the video I said it was my first time kind of doing this RPG type game. I've never done any character creation in the past. It was interesting. I didn't quite enjoy it very much, and there's numerous reasons why. In the character creation, they do kind of leave a nice blank space there for your background, your personality traits. I know there's a lot of role players out there that are kind of screaming saying, well, that's your character and that's your story and that's how you play. You have to bring your emotion into it. I guess I just don't see it that way. After doing a couple of playthroughs, I guess I still don't really see it. But at the end of the day, I'm a rules guy. So if I don't understand the reason why you need to have your background, your personality trait, I don't understand the importance of investing time into creating that. That being said, what I also did not do was I didn't follow the handy character creation guide that comes with the game itself. And here they actually give you nice clues as to what skills you should take for which race you are, which class you're playing. And I just took a random kind of grab bag of skills and different things. I think it was luck that I actually did certain things right, more so than actual following the guide. So I think that hindered the process as well.
Yeah, he definitely did follow the rules. I made sure that he did have 2 skills from his race, 2 skills from his class. However, they really weren't synergistic. So as we found out, and we'll talk about more in our gameplay review video when we also give our review of the game, that can be a definite detriment to your character. But it was definitely quite amusing to see that in effect.
Well, that's it. So, and I didn't understand the full effect of choosing skills so poorly until we actually got into the gameplay. But luckily, as we said before, if you're a rules guy like myself, we do have some beautiful DLC content that is provided with preset characters with the background and the personality traits already picked for you. So that being said, I could just play with one of these guys and jump right into the game. And the gameplay itself was fun, but you'll have to wait for a review on that.
So what we're going to do when it comes to gameplay is we're going to do a gameplay video. So Sammy G is going to try out one of the preset characters, and then we'll maybe have him redo the character creation process if he's up to it, and see what his opinion is with his own character later on. Now, just to tell you what I experienced with the character creation process is I would give it an 8 because it's simple, it's fast. You can have a character created in about 10 to 15 minutes. And that's including the background and the personality if you have experience with role-playing games. Now, where you have to dig in the character creation process is it really doesn't tell you why you want to have a personality, an appearance, and a background to your character. Any experienced role player or even many new role players do know that D&D, 5th edition, Starfinder, GURPS, they have that nice presentation page that says, hey, you're doing a role-playing game. This is what's important about a role-playing game, and this is what's important about these things in a role-playing game, which I don't think was well presented in Legacy of Dragonholt. You get a paragraph telling you to do it, telling you that it's your character, whereas other games spend a lot more time on it and really sort of explain why the flavor is important, whereas this game does not. I think this game does rely a little bit on the fact that it feels that most people that are going to be picking this game up would maybe be in a situation like mine where I'm an experienced role player and my fiance is not an experienced role player. However, one thing that I did notice a big difference between her and Sammy G is that she's read a lot of books, fantasy novels. She has a very active imagination. So once she was able to put aside some of the same issues that Sammy G had with the character creation process and just sort of let go of her preconceptions, she was very much able to create an effective, fun character very quickly, and she really got into the process. So that's why I'm going to give the character creation process overall an 8. But I do think it's missing something for new players. And in any subsequent Oracle system game, Fantasy Flight really should include like an introduction to role-playing element to really help those people come to terms and also understand what they're doing with their character.
That's it. I mean, the way the game is set up, and you're going to see you have multiple choices within a various point in the game. And I know if it's a role-playing game, you should really kind of follow the rules, but sometimes you're just interested to see kind of what the option would give you. So as I said, I still think it's very much of a flavor. I'm not going to give it a rank yet, because as I said, I'm going to try using a kind of preset character, but if I take a preset character, then I'm not really going through the character creation process. And for me, the character creation process, because that background, because I couldn't let go of those preconceptions, because I didn't really understand why it's so important to have the background, I would not give it a good score, but I don't want to be unfair to the game either. So I'm going to actually abstain from this ranking now, but I will try, probably after playing a few new missions, ranking through the character creation process. I'll give it another go, and I'll actually follow a little bit more of the guidebook, which again I did not do this time through.
Yep, so it's a very good character creation process in my opinion. And the one thing I think we can both agree on is that it is quick and it is easy to get started. So you have two options: download a character, start playing, or make your own. And one thing that I do want to just say about the game and the character creation process is it is really easy to take out. This game can be played almost anywhere because you've got a book, as you've seen, and your character sheet. So you can take it out, play for 10-15 minutes, put it away. There's not a lot of setup, and it's something that I really like about the game. It really makes it something you could even do as like a nice nightly experience.
Yep, perfect. So stay tuned for our forthcoming reviews on the actual gameplay itself as we experience certain missions within Legacy of Dragonholt.
Yes, we will be journeying down new roads as we head towards Dragonholt Village. And what do the mysteries and what do the characters of Dragonholt Village have in store for our characters? You'll just have to stay tuned to find out.
Also, we want to give a nice shout out to our friend the Cyberbard. You're our buddy. Check him out. He has wonderful content, some nice playthrough videos, some nice narration as he goes through certain games like Walking Dead, Skyrim. So please check out the Cyberbard. Really humorous, really wonderful content that he has there.
Can't say enough about his voice, and like Sammy G said, he's doing video games, storytelling video games, playthrough videos. So he's doing a lot of really fun content there, so please check out the Cyberbar. And as always, if you like what you see with us, or if you like what you see with him, feel free to subscribe and comment. And if there's anything you'd like to see us try out in Legacy of Dragonholt, maybe extend the series, let us know in the comments below.
Absolutely. So again, we're Dice and Dragons. I'm Sammy G.
I'm Jason Deere.
As always, grab your drink, grab your buddy, keep playing games.
Keep playing games.
To Dragonholt.
To Dragonholt. Onward. I think they got a good in. Will there be as good drinks as this?
No, this is definitely much better.
Yeah, it is a small town inn. They really don't have much.
Just watch out for backstabbers, you know. They're gonna
They might try to serve us like Molson. Who drinks Molson anymore?
Molson and Dragonholt? Nah. Hey, thanks very much for watching, guys. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe. It won't cost you any gold. It won't cost you any XP. It's perfect.
Also, if there's anything you'd like to see us review next, please let us know in the comments below. And as always, feedback is appreciated. And once again, we are Dice and Dragons. My name is Jason Deere.
I'm Sammy G. Remember, grab a drink, grab your buddy, and keep on playing.
Keep on playing games.
Cheers.